So this may come as a shocker to some of you, but knowing what it is you want in life is extremely important, right? Having clarity around your ideal lifestyle, your ideal day, your ideal living arrangements, your ideal job, your purpose, right? You should know what it is you want in life, what it is you would do if money was not an issue, right? How would you spend your time? How would you give back to the community? What creative pursuits would you pursue? These are important questions. And, this came up for me personally recently as I've been looking at potential places to live and work, as my living arrangement may be changing at some point in the near future, right? There's nothing set in stone yet, but it's a good practice anyway of like, what does my ideal living arrangement look like? Because I started looking at different places, and obviously I have some ideas of what I want, but I haven't really got it as concrete as I would like. And so I realized that I need to start getting clear on what things I want in an ideal property. And so that's the first place I started. I started thinking about my dream property, right? What would the ideal property look like? And then from there, I break it down into further questions of like, okay, what are non-negotiables? When I'm looking for a place to live and work, what things must I have no matter what? And then also, what are things that are not necessary, but nice to have? Without clarity around the type of property I want, then the search becomes overwhelming. And I've realized that this is how most people live their lives, right? Most people are just kind of drifting through life, and they have no real idea of what it is they want outside of very few surface layer things. And this reminds me of a scene from Alice in Wonderland, where Alice is going on her journey through Wonderland, and she comes to a spot where there are several different paths to take. And so she's lost and she doesn't know what to do. She then spots the cat, and she asks the cat, "Excuse me, can you help me figure out which way I should go from here?" And the cat says, "Well, that depends a lot on where it is you want to go." Alice then says, "Well, I don't really care where I go." And then the cat says, "Well, then it doesn't matter which path you take." And that's why having clarity is so important, because there are many times in our lives where we come to a fork in the road and we have to choose between path A or path B or path C. And one of those paths will get us closer to our ideal lifestyle. One of them may take us further away. And one of those may just be a neutral path, which keeps us in the same place. So how do you make that decision? Well, if you don't know what it is you want, because we've all been there, we've all had these choices, and they're not easy to make. Sometimes all three choices seem good. So without clarity, we are just guessing on which path seems better. And so because of this, I often bring this up with my coaching clients, with people in my integration program, with people in my 90-day challenge. And there's even a section in my Unplugged journal in the pre-work section that talks about this and has some writing exercises around helping you come up with an ideal to strive for and helping you put a spot on the map so that you can start to venture towards that spot. But what's interesting is that when I bring this up, I often get a lot of pushback from people. And sometimes that pushback can even be angry and aggressive. In fact, I brought this up on a call, a 90-day challenge call, just last night. And I was talking about how when I bring this up, some people can get mad and triggered. And ironically, someone got mad and triggered. So it was like, okay, well, thank you for proving my point. But the question becomes, why is there so much pushback around visualization, around creating a spot on the map on which to strive for? Because the truth is, this should actually be a fun and exciting exercise, and it is. I mean, I get it, it's hard and it's overwhelming, and that's one of the reasons, and we'll get into that a little bit more. But this should be fun and exciting to manifest your dream life. It should be fun and exciting to discover what it is that you want in life. But people push back on this time and time again. So there are many reasons, and we'll go over a few. And I would love to hear your feedback and if you have any reasons to add to this. But the first reason is that choosing your ideal life feels very permanent. And I get that, right? I, of all people, have a fear of commitment, right? Just ask all the women I've dated, right? Just kidding. But no, I do have a fear of commitment. A lot of us have a fear of commitment. And when you don't know where you want to go, you're in a spot of infinite potential and infinite possibilities. And in a lot of ways, that feels exciting. It feels like anything is possible. And choosing a path shuts down all those other opportunities and all that other potential. In fact, there's even a word that's called onism. And I don't remember the exact definition, but it's basically the fear of missing out. And it's the reality of knowing that when you walk through one door, millions of other doors immediately slam shut. And that's a reality, right? We can only walk through one door at a time. You can only walk on one path at a time. So it feels scary to choose, especially when you really don't know what it is that you want. So it kind of feels like you're just throwing a dart at the map, and wherever that dart lands, that's your new life. But that's not true. The reality is that you will, no matter what spot you pick on that map, the chances are you are going to deviate slightly or even a lot from the initial plan, and that's okay, and that's actually expected, right? Think about this. You don't even know what it is that you want, and then you think you're going to sit down and in 20 minutes you're going to map out the perfect, most ideal life for you. It's impossible. So what you do is you pick a spot, you pick an ideal to the best of your knowledge based on how much you know about yourself right now, and then you start walking that path. And as you walk that path, many things will come up and you will learn more about yourself. And then you will, as you learn more and you take this knowledge in, you start to change what it is that you want. And that's part of this human experience. This is how it works. This is all to say that doing exercises about your ideal life is not a permanent thing. You are not setting in stone your path. You pick a destination, you walk towards it, and then your path will change accordingly. Another reason people resist this exercise, and this is where it starts to get deep, is that you may come to the reality that you are on the wrong path. And that is a terrifying thought. Even though a lot of us know this, it's one thing to know it subconsciously, it's another thing to become consciously aware of it. And when we become aware of this, our ego oftentimes gets involved, and we do not want to admit that what we have been doing for the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years of our life is out of alignment with the path we should be on. Right? It's a terrifying thought. Although it's not as bad as we make it out to be. Our path is our path. Our journey is our journey. And everything you've done to lead you up to this point has made you who you are. So as long as you keep moving, as long as you keep growing, as long as you keep evolving, as long as you keep doing the work, nothing is wasted. The only thing that you can waste is to continue to walk down a path that no longer serves you. It's the only way you can lose at this game. But if you make adjustments, these jumps and these changes can be small, and they should be small. But yeah, I mean, what's the alternative, right? The alternative is to not let your ego get bruised and then just continue to walk down a path that no longer serves you. And, well, that's not good for anybody. Another reason that people struggle with coming up with an ideal lifestyle, and this one hits home a little bit, is that sometimes we feel that we are undeserving of something better. And we also have been programmed with a negative mindset around money. Because oftentimes our ideal life would require more money, more resources, and it can be hard to wrap our minds around, are we deserving of this? And how do I even get there? And see, I realize that I've been programmed negatively around money. When you hear things and say things like money is the root of all evil, rich people are scumbags and corrupt. But the truth is, money is neutral. It's not really good or bad. It's like the force. It amplifies who you are. So if you are a shitty person, then the more money you have just allows you to become a better and more effective shitty person. Likewise, if you are a person of good intention, if you want to help people, if you want to make the world a better place, well, the more money you have allows you to obtain more resources, which then allows you to become more effective at helping people, right? When I think about my ideal property, the more money I have, the more resources I have, the better I can make the property, and the better the property, the better I can be at helping people grow and heal and become better versions of themselves. So this is just a good reminder to remember that money is not necessarily bad, and that we can and are deserving of a better lifestyle. We have to change our mindset around that. I think another reason why people struggle with this exercise is because it's overwhelming. There's a lot of things to think about. And then as you start to uncover what it is that you want, as you start to uncover your purpose, your potential, your path, then that opens up a whole other can of worms of how do I, being on this one path, how do I make the transition to another path? And that is extremely hard into itself. So when you start to do this work, it's very easy to get overwhelmed and then just stop the exercise. But the thing is, this is so important that we cannot not do this. So some advice to help you with this is to start small and treat it like a practice, right? Life is a practice. Exercising is a practice. Eating healthy is a practice. Learning how to play the guitar is a practice. So this is not something that you do in 20 minutes or you even do in one day. It is a process that completely evolves over time. But you have to start somewhere and you have to chip away at it. And it is a lot of fun and it is exciting, but just be prepared that as you do this, you will also quickly become overwhelmed. But it is one of the only ways to guarantee success. Remember Alice in Wonderland. If you don't know where it is you want to go, then it doesn't matter what path you take. And if you take any random path, well, the chances of you ending up on where you really need to be are very unlikely. So let me know what you think and let me know what types of resistance you have found when you have tried this exercise. Anyway, keep up the good fight, keep doing the work, and I'll see you on the other side.